Well, I think you're one of two people that are repeating being on the podcast, Victoria. So welcome again. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So just as a refresher, can you tell everybody where you're located, what your business is?
Yeah. We are located in Kernersville, North Carolina, and we are Lashtastic Lounge. So our main focus is on lash and brow services.
Nice. Okay. So kind of talk about your team today and just talk about what the structure is, what you spend your time doing, because most of what I want to highlight is that you are fully out of the treatment room and working on the business. And I think a lot of people, when they're starting to build a team, they have this like goal, but it's really vague of what it looks like to fully be out of the treatment room. So kind of share what a day-to-day like life is for you.
Yeah. So first of all, I thought when I was still in the treatment room, I thought that like I would just have these hours where I'm not doing anything, like, oh, there's nothing going to be able to fill my time. It's the complete opposite. It's like, I'm like, how did I have time for all of this before while I was still in the treatment room? Like, it just blows my mind. Yeah. But every day it is working on marketing. It is working on building out the business for our team. I want to make sure our team is fully booked, building that out. Not only that, company impact, how we impact our company, how we're seen, and also how we're able to implement trainings, anything with our team to help them better, not only with the service that they provide, but also mindset. So that was a huge transition for me going through, the Momentum Mastermind, is that mindset part that I've been able to carry with me now and start to implement that with our team.
Yeah. So we do talk a lot about mindset, not just for the business owner, because that's one thing, but it's also been teaching the business owners, and specifically you, because you're one of our coaches in the program. So you and I work much more closely on mindset stuff to, it's human performance really is what it is. And when with business owners, it's getting a lot of them out of the employee mindset and looking at their business and themselves and their time much differently. And then how we teach you guys to look at and support your team members so that then when they have a block or when they're not performing or where they're in their head or they're feeling like they're not good enough or they get a bad review, you can actually coach them out of that to get them back to focusing on what really matters, like you said, with the impact.
Yeah.
So
and if I wasn't out of the treatment room, I would not be able to put all that time towards that and nurturing. It's actually saying that you said that I even repeat to our team member is, if a flower doesn't bloom, do you blame the flower or do you blame its environment? And my main goal is making sure that our entire team has the most nurturing environment for them to grow professionally and personally and mentally.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So kind of talk to me about, let's just do a year synopsis of where your journey has been, because you have evolved highly in a year. So kind of talk to me about where you were this time last year, kind of around holiday season of 2021, and the pain points that you were experiencing, what felt heavy, what felt icky, and why you started to kind of really focus in on getting training as a business owner.
Yeah. Goodness, when you say it like that and to think back where I was a year ago, it's wow, so transformative. It's funny, even Brittany, our manager, she brought that up. She was like, think about where we were last year. So last year, I had Brittany and she was just coming back from maternity leave. So she wasn't, at this time, honestly, she was still in maternity leave. And then I had one other team member who was like part-time.
Optionally hired, I believe we can, is a nice way of saying that.
Yeah. And I knew I needed to get out of the treatment room, not only for the growth of the business, but I also am highly allergic to the adhesive. It is not good for my health. And I did not know how to go about that. And it was everything to me in the moment was a huge stress, was a huge worry. I was constantly in a state of anxiety. Am I doing this right? Was this right? Should I have done this? How do I do this? And I knew I wanted to learn from somebody who had already gone through it all and who is going to be able to help me and guide me on the correct way. And since then, since last year, I think about just my mindset in that time. And I was so afraid. I was so scared. You could hear it in the way that I spoke. I was not confident. I was like, I was just worried about everything. Business was growing, which was amazing, but I knew I had the potential to do more. And
talk to me about the team member that, because that was a real big struggle point, because when we first started working together, I think you kind of almost saw her as like an equal or somebody that could like influence how the business was run, or you kind of just let her do her own schedule and she kind of did her own thing? She kind of came and went as she wanted. She was very consistent. Can you talk about the experience of what, both the good and the bad of what that team member was in your business at that time?
Yeah. First of all, she was amazing at her craft. She was a really good, quick learner. She quality wise did amazing. Time wise though, it, at the end of the day, it was not beneficial for our business whatsoever, because there were times that we were calling out on the day of, and just, and again, it was my first hire. I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't have structure within my business. I didn't say, this is what you're hired for. These are the times and hours in which you're needed. It was more of like, oh, let's just kind of figure it out as we go type of thing. And that was not the best business decision, but it's okay, because she was a phenomenal, person at her craft. But I want to say the unliability, or help me out here. My mind
The undoing, the unraveling, yes.
Yes.
The demise.
Yes, was just the not being able to count on that person to come in when it's necessary. And I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know at that moment in time, I had no structure and processes put in place.
Right.
And that is what I was missing tremendously. Because let's just, the people that I've hired since then, I've hired people with structures and processes. They have aligned with our mission statement, with our vision, with our core value. So I have, through this process, learned how to hire like strategically for our team that is going to grow with us. And that was instrumental. 100%.
I think you're making a really good point, because remind me, was the team member, was she commission based, or what was her pay structure?
It was all over the place. I had no idea what I was doing. It was all over the place. Yeah, it was like half base hourly plus commission plus it was all over the place. It was a hot mess,
And so there was inconsistency in her income and in your payroll, right?
100%. There was inconsistency. Things that I wish I would have done different was like market more about what Lashtastic is, what we offer, and all of that stuff. But again, at that moment in time, I didn't have that in place. So I can see that that was a fault of mine. I didn't have it structured properly for her to come in and to really flourish. And we just didn't have that clear understanding of like, these are the times that are needed.
Well, and often what happens, and I let every single mastermind member know, the team that you've built up to this point, as you start to be intentional about the structure of your business and what you're creating long-term, there's a high likelihood that the team that you've built up to this point will not continue on with you. And that's okay. Right? It's a difference of setting expectations and good boundaries for the purpose of business growth that then allows you as the owner to step into a leadership role, which you can't do in the treatment room.
No,
you're in the treatment room, you're seen as an equal, you act as an equal, everybody's all the same because you're all doing the same task, but you have to elevate yourself to be the leader, to be the one that's making the decisions, ultimately with the best interest of the team and the business in mind. 100%. And when you don't have structure in place and it's kind of your pay is all over the place and your payrolls and your expenses are all over the place, there's not that consistency and that psychological safety. Right? And we talk a lot about psychological safety in the mastermind, and especially in coaching, is like, we have to make sure that our team members feel confident that they're going to do a good job, that they're set up for success, that you want their success, that they have a job, right? Because when we plant that seed of doubt, which anybody who's still working in the treatment room, it's really hard for your team to have psychological safety, because all they see is that you're hustling, you're making money, and then they're sitting there without clients.
Yeah.
We actually had this in a mastermind call recently. We have one member who's still in the treatment room. She's not the only one in the treatment room, but she's in the treatment room, and her team member is sitting out at the front desk, and she was asking like, how do I get her productive, while she's in between clients or doesn't have clients that day? And I'm like, why is it that the owner is in the treatment room and she's worried about what the team members do and just sitting at the front desk? That's backwards.
And that was a pivotal moment for me too. Yeah. It's when,
hold on, pause.
And that was a pivotal moment for me is, what was this? Beginning of this year? Yeah. And I was like, what was it? I don't know, beginning of this year sometime. And I was the one, I was in that exact same position, and our phone just kept ringing. And I was like, wait, why am I doing this when I could be out there booking appointments to get them more appointments? And it just clicked. It clicked in that moment that I need to just bite the bullet. I need to just do it.
Yeah. Cause who else is going to do it?
Mhm.
Ain't nobody going to do it. Like you
Yeah.
were saying, like there's demand, but you didn't have the capacity, because rightfully so. Like what gets you to a certain level where you're ready to build a team is that hustle, is that grit, is that, just throwing a bunch of things at the wall to see what sticks. And when you're ready to start building out a team, this is where the shift from, that hustle mode really needs to pivot, because you run into a capacity issue where if it's solely dependent on the owner's time and ability to get to all the things, there's only so many hours in the day. So we have to really protect and leverage the owner's time so that she can do the revenue generating activities like the marketing and the customer service and the building out of the processes and being consistent in the training and the results and the experience that the clients have. Nobody else is going to do that except for the owner, because once you've done that, once you've built out the process, then you can hire other people to do it. Right. And then you start to free up your time. And that's where you create scalability. Because Victoria, let me ask you this. Are you working any more now than you were a year ago?
You know what? I was going to point on this. I am working my business hours. I am no longer bringing my business home, and I am using that time to connect with my children, with my husband. And it's honestly like 1,000 times better. And my old mindset again, here we go with it, was I need to hustle, work hard, because again, everything you just said, that demand, you're hands-on, and then you have to take the hours afterwards. And honestly, now my 9 to 5 hours when I get home, that's it. I'm done. It's with my family. So
you get to really focus and be present on what you're doing. So when you're work, you're present and you're building the business. And when you're home, you're present with your family or your friends. And I think that's a huge thing. And something I honestly still go back and forth between is like, especially because I work from home. So it's really being intentional that you have the capacity. And honestly, you're probably doing a way better job at working on your business now, because you're not exhausted at the end of the day trying to figure out what marketing is going to work, or I have to sit and take this Google Ads class, or I have to show up for a coaching call. It's like you have the energy and you're actually excited about what you're doing in your business. So let's talk about, I actually want to touch just one more time on the time that you've gotten back and the freedom that you've gotten, because there's been a couple of health things that have come up. You've had COVID this year. You got injured at one point. You took 2 trips this year to come to Nashville for our retreats. So talk to me about what was going on with the business as you were not there.
It was still profitable. It was still bringing in revenue. It was still working without me being 100% like hands-on and me being in control. Because of the processes and procedures that we have put in place. We have a manager who is absolutely phenomenal. She's able to make executive decisions when things are going on. She's able to manage the staff. The staff is amazing because we had hired our staff who aligned with our mission, vision, core values, all of that stuff. So everything is working well, and I'm able to, when stuff does come up, or if I want to travel, I'm able to do so and not worry about my business not working.
How much time would you say cumulative over the last year do you think you've taken off, both for being sick, but also like travel and time spent with your family?
You know what? I also started implementing taking every other Saturday off, which I had never done for like 5 years. I never had.
Does that give you a 3-day weekend?
No, 2 days.
Two.
Yeah. But I mean, for 5 years, it was like every Saturday I missed out so much. But I mean, to answer your question, maybe like a whole month.
Yeah, I think I mean, just counting the times that you've spent with me, that was like 2 weeks. I know you were out for like a week with COVID, and I think you guys have traveled. And what's cool is you've been able to bring your family along with you to travel with you when it comes to business stuff too. So I've gotten to meet the little fam bam as well.
Yeah, and it has been amazing, and it's so fun because it's like, I want to instill in my children this entrepreneurial business mindset for them to be able to see it. Like, they've been with me this whole time. They saw me, my daughter saw me graduate aesthetic school, so she has seen it firsthand. And I just want to encourage her in whatever she may choose and carry on what I've learned with you and your coaching with not only our team, every woman that we meet and man that has come in here, and our family too.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to today and talking about what the business looks like today, how you lead and manage your team, what you guys are doing in sales. So let's get to like some actual concrete numbers and really start to look at kind of over time, what's possible in a year.
Oh yeah. It's amazing to see where we have grown in 1 year because it shows me my goals for next year is so achievable when last year I would have never dreamed of having these goals.
So what are
Last
you, just give me an example of what a goal is for next year.
250.
Nice.
Yes.
Love it. Love it.
And I mean, this year we're gonna finish the year not at 250, but a lot closer than I thought we were going to be.
Yeah, because you've gotten over six figures like a month or two ago, right?
Oh yeah. So
Without you having to do the sales.
I know it's exciting. But where I'm at with our team is I like to stay in the leader role. So it's funny, it's a joke. Our team knows that I don't like necessarily being called boss. Call me your leader. We are, I'm here alongside you. I'm working with you. We're working together. I always want to try to come up with different ideas on how they can upsell clients, how they can bring in more retail sales, because the more they do that, we are performance-based incentives, meaning the more that they average per week for a 12-week base, they get bonuses at the end of those 3 months. And I want them to achieve it. It's like, that's my big thing. I want everybody to be financially secure and independent. And I want to help you. How can I get you to where you need to be? And what
Yes.
do you want? Yeah.
Yeah. So just to clarify, you pay them an hourly rate, and then when they meet certain milestones or benchmarks, they'll earn a bonus, usually a cash bonus.
Yeah.
She's also talked about other, we'll get into this after our call today, but we'll talk about incentives that are not necessarily cash based, because she wants to take them on a trip or get them some continuing education and all of that. The business has to have margins, profitability in the business for there to be money aside for that kind of stuff. And so the way that we teach to that in this program is that we teach that you do an hourly rate, and then you have performance-based incentives that as they help grow the business, then they can share in some of that reward. And your role as the leader really becomes to remove all the obstacles to set them up for success. Like you talked about with the flower and the environment, you're not there as the gatekeeper holding all the money back. You're the one that's like, yes, let's champion you to get you to the goals that you have as the employee.
100%. So that's what honestly makes me so happy, is when I see our team succeeding, hitting the numbers that they need to hit and getting bonuses and stuff. I just like, that makes me feel like, you've done it, Victoria. Like, yes, you're here to help someone.
Talk about how you've utilized some of the resources. Like I know, I think your last team meeting, you guys did some mindset stuff that we have, some trainings.
Oh man, that was amazing. I was like, you know what, we are doing this once a month. We are doing a mindset training. So in our team, they loved it. First of all, you have some training in there, dominating the DMs, right? Well, we don't really do DM answerings. We do more phone calls. So we kind of tweaked it to help us. So anytime it said like a DM, we're like, okay, phone call, how are we going to use this? And it was some stuff that I noticed when I'm just like, because I'm able to notice things because I'm not in the treatment room. So I'm walking around, I'm hearing things, I'm taking notes on what we're going to need further training on. And it was answering phone calls. How do we answer phone calls? How do we connect with the clients on there? Tell them what is our unique selling point and all that. So we did an entire training just on that. And at the end of it, we finished it off with one of your mindset trainings on abundance. And it was amazing. One of our team members, she had never done any meditation, anything like that before.
She was all scared.
She was a little scared, a little nervous. And afterwards, just to see the look on their faces and how they were just in their moment and they were pumped and they were excited. I was like, this is a done deal. We're doing this once a month. We're mixing in these mindset trainings. It is huge.
Yeah, because it's really applicable to all aspects of your life. Yes, abundance when it comes to business, but also abundance when it comes to your personal life and your personal finances. And so I love that you're feeding into and pouring into your team for their own personal development too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, the better I feel like they are with their mindset that they're coming to work and it's clear, the better they are at performing.
Yes.
And it's not just, can you apply lash extensions? There is so much more that we want to nurture in each of our team member.
Yeah, because the application really gets them to the results, but the experience of the client can be heavily, heavily impacted when the artist or the service provider is not emotionally present. Like if they've got stuff going on in their personal life and they can't quite turn that off, or they're upset. I mean, we talk about these scenarios in the mastermind too, of like when a team member comes in and like her boyfriend just broke up with her, what do you do? And so it really helps to, when you have these trainings in place and you kind of touch points of like abundance, then if a team member's struggling or she's, you know, coming from a place of lack, you can recall back to that training. You're like, remember when we went through this, let's go through it again. It really does elevate you into a leader. You're like the big sister rather than the boss.
Yeah.
I don't like my team call me boss either. That sounds too controlling and too masculine.
It does for me. I'm like, leader, please.
Leader,
And it's
right?
because they know it now. And just a quick little side note, we were out doing a fundraiser for the Second Harvest Food Bank, and it was where we were doing donations for the holiday season that's coming up. And one of our team members brought her husband. It was my first time meeting, and I heard her address me as, "This is our leader, Victoria," and it melted my heart. I was like, yes.
I love that. I forgot to bring that up. Let's talk about your charitable efforts, because you have funds set aside essentially to be able to impact the community, be a part of the community, donate to causes that are really important to you. All of that comes from when you have profit margins in the business. So share with me what you've been able to do this year with being involved with charities.
Yeah. So what we did a really big one just like a month ago, and it was for the child trafficking awareness. So we were able to kind of do like the whole putting that entire fundraiser together, which was amazing. That just pulls on our heartstrings. And it's nice because everybody that we have hired here, we have the same vision, we have the same, just passion that we're all like, yes, we're here for it. That fundraiser pulled together 85,000 at the end of it. And then we did, the Second Harvest Food Bank. So that donated an entire pallet of food. And that one was with the Chamber of Commerce as well. So we've partnered with the Chamber of Commerce and doing that. And then wintertime, we always do for the battered women's shelter. We do a fun little thing where our clients can bring in donations, and they get either retail percentage off, free service, and just taking that there and delivering it straight to help the women. So
love it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to talk about numbers and doing, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 months. But when you talk about what that income can do, it really is more so about the impact. And that's really who I try to draw into these programs and the people that I align with, because income at some point is going to once your lifestyle is afforded, it's kind of like, well, now what, right? Like I can afford to do the things I want to do. Like my time isn't being traded for money, but that impact piece can drive anybody for the entirety of their career, for their life, really. That's where the purpose comes in. And so if we can look at how more income creates more impact, and you've been able to see that, that's really what drives all of this business strategy and sales and marketing and processes, and even letting team members go. Because there are team members that will only work for how much, the most that you can pay them. And so if you have that team, they don't really care about the charitable side of things, because really they'll see it as money coming out of their pocket. Right. Mm-hmm. But when you can start to build out a team and a culture that really is aligned with the mission, right? I think purpose and mission are interchangeable. That's when we start to have much greater impact. And that also is, side note, when you're a part of charitable stuff and you talk about it and you get your clients involved, that's also part of branding, right? And you have a really positive brand culture and a brand vision of what the community sees Lashtastic Lounge is. And so it becomes almost like a marketing point as well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, not gonna lie, it's a nice benefit of it, marketing. But yeah, and it's awesome because our whole team is just on board with it. It kind of fills them more, where it's like, listen, you're not just coming to work, you're not just slapping lashes, you're not just doing that. You are literally impacting the clients that come in. You are impacting the people that they then go and talk to for the day. If you were just an ear to hear whatever they got going on, and you're there to support them, we truly 100% care about each and every person that comes into our salon. And we want to make sure that they're left happier, feeling good about themselves. Our tagline is unleash the femininity. So whatever that is to you, your unique, whatever it is, we're here to help bring that out for you. And by having you, go in this awesome mood and stuff, we always tell the team you're impacting more than just actually providing a service.
Isn't that crazy that all she does is lashes and brows? I'm using air quotes of like, that is the perception that that's all the business is, but there's so much more that can be forward, that really impacts women's lives, that impacts how they see themselves, their own confidence, their ability to go out and be better moms and better wives because they feel good, they feel like they look good. And it's something as silly as I say, dip in place and putting on these little synthetic hairs on somebody's eyes. Right?
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So let's talk about what you're excited about with the mastermind next season. She will be continuing on as a coach inside of our program. You guys are going to be very, very lucky to be coached by Victoria. She's amazing. She is the queen of binders. We call her that because she always comes to the retreats with her binders and her processes. So kind of tell me what, you can kind of share what's been so exciting about season 2, because this has been your first season as a coach, and what you're excited about with season 3 as we kind of evolve the program.
Well, with season 3, I would say, first of all, the main thing I'm excited about is for anybody from season 2 that is carrying on to season 3, I cannot wait to see their growth and see where they're at in just those 6 months. Because for me, I mean, 6 months was a huge change. So I can't wait to see the people who are in there, who are coming through, who have
been in a whole year at that point.
Yeah. For a whole year to see where they're at, to see where they're flourishing, because it's really not just like the Momentum Mastermind class. It's literally everything you pull from it that you can carry from here on out. Yeah. I'm excited for the 2, what are we going to?
Retreats.
2 retreats. Yeah. 2 retreats. I'm so excited for that, because I feel like once you have an in-person retreat, you're able to have that personal connection a little bit more, and you kind of find your people like within there that you can always like talk to a little bit more freely. It is a little nerve-wracking, like, nerve-wracking in the beginning. You're kind of like, okay, I don't really know everyone. How is this going to work? But we are just also welcoming, and we truly want to see everybody just thrive. I'm excited by that. I'm just excited to meet more people who are wanting to expand and how I can help in any way. I'm excited about refining the binders and getting better binders and coming with better processes. There's a lot to be excited about.
Just share with me, because I think I've spoken to it, but I want to hear your side of things. How does process actually, how are the processes of your business? How does that actually get you the freedom that most people want when they hire, but they don't have processes in place? So they end up actually working more and probably making less when they don't have those processes in place.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, that was me in the beginning. My first hire, I had no processes for, anything done. And I look at it like I did fail her, by bringing her on board, and I wasn't structured and set up for it, and then to see the difference from what it is you are building a house and you are setting that foundation, that like just straight concrete foundation. And then you're able to build on top of that. Without the processes and procedure, you're like,
house gonna blow over the first sign of
gonna all crumble. But by putting those in place, it's not like you're going to put it in place once and it's done for. You're always refining it. You're always making it a little better. What's going to work better for you. And then it's kind of like just a copy and paste, and you're able to then, whoever you bring on, who is going to be in charge, they're able to look at that and know exactly how you want your business ran. What is going to be happening if you have, this situation come up? What do we do during this situation? What are we going to do for here on out? That way you don't have to be physically present in order for it to still carry on for you.
Yeah, that really is the key point there, because the process is, so for example, what a process would be like, even your application process, like the step-by-steps of how to apply or how to do the service. So in what that looks like, and specifically with Victoria, because she's had a couple of incidences where they've gotten bad reviews and they've gotten upset clients. And the emotional reactivity that you used to just default to of defensiveness, anger, disrespect was a big trigger for you when you felt you were being disrespected, and your emotions would bubble up and you would be reactive in a way that really was almost scary, I would assume, for whoever was on the other receiving side of it. It was never me, so cool. But being able to lower the emotional response to just go back to curiosity about the process that didn't get the result that the process is supposed to get. The results and the experience that you get your clients is the step-by-steps of how they get there. That's what you train to. That's what you hire team members to oversee certain processes in the business. So even when you get a bad review, it's like, okay, let's take the data part of the bad review and go look at where we went wrong in the process, or it was just that we can figure out whether it's the process that didn't get the result or something else. But it's never about things are going to fail. This isn't working. We're doomed. It was a bad review. It's going to snowball, and it's all of that catastrophizing. So share with the people real quick, kind of your journey on lessening the emotional reactivity and how you have really been able to handle any of the ups and downs that come with running a business as they inevitably do.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I feel like the thing that has helped me the most was on one of our retreats was the very first breath work I did. Something in me just changed. It just changed. Like I'm more at peace. I'm more calm. I just have more of an understanding that nothing is so important that it needs to be done with right now. Like, you can come back to it tomorrow. It's okay. It's not like we need to address this right now. We need to do. No, I found for me, the best thing is to remove myself, kind of process any emotions I have, and then be the detective, find out the data. Because once you have data, like you don't have to put all these other emotions onto it. It is just data. That's it.
Preach.
And that is what I love. And it's so funny because we literally just did a team training on like a Monday about how we would handle if we got a bad review. We hadn't have gotten one yet, but I was like, we're doing a training on it. Like, I don't know, someone told me to do a training. Well, that Wednesday we got our first one, and I was actually kind of weirdly excited by it. I was like,
look at that shift.
Yeah, it's happened. Let's figure out, like, let's take the emotion out of it. We've already discussed how we're going to handle it. Let's just sit on it. Let's figure out data. Let's figure out where we could have, done something better. And then that way we can implement it in the future and we're not going to have the same issue,
Yeah.
And I tell our team, like, listen, nobody's job is in jeopardy. We are just figuring out what we can do better for next time. The mindset change for me, it's so funny. Even my husband says he sees it in me. He's like, he sees it. So I'm like, that's a good sign, just being more at peace, being more calm. Nothing is as important as you think it is in your head. If you were like me, who operated from a place of scarcity, a place of anxiety,
Fear.
Fear was a big one. And fear, I think, translates to a lot of those, like, that anxiety or that pushback or that anger or the quick, like, whoa,
The fight or flight or fawn or whatever the other responses are. Yeah.
Yeah. And it really affected how I viewed things in situations that probably, didn't mean that way. It's like one of the trainings that we go through, like, this is fact, this has happened, but what we put onto it, our emotional, side ourselves, that's us. So I had to do a lot of personal growth within this last year of looking at myself and why do I react in the way that I react? And how can I help our team from, not having those reactions themselves if they're going through something? And that's why I love pulling in that mindset with the team. And I always tell them, pull the emotion out of it, pull the emotion out of it. We're just looking at data. So it has been amazing to see the growth personally. Like I said, my husband sees it in me. And then, that we've been able to hire a team that aligns with what we stand for and to be able to be there and support them 100%.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm just like beaming with pride. I'm just, because I know that journey you put on. I probably know it as intimately as you do, and seeing your growth. And I think that's something that the listeners are missing, is that context of where you started, because you were like, everybody that comes into these programs, everybody that DMs me about the struggles they have with team, like, you were that exact person. You were that person that struggled with these same exact things. And I want you all to just take a moment and think and listen to Victoria, that it is totally possible, no matter your education, your background, your experience, to get to the level that she's at, to be able to look at the business in that way. Because that's been my journey too. Right. And Victoria doesn't have, a business degree. I have a business degree, and I'm not using any of that education because it's completely different now than it was 20 years ago. She doesn't have like the most corporate experience and background. It was something that kind of just evolved for her. She got busy, but then she also had to get out of the treatment room because she was so allergic to the adhesive. She had to be in full PPE gears before it was required. And so this is possible to be this effective and this savvy with business and this even keeled, and actually start to enjoy it and start to lead your team in a way that feels really rewarding to the business owner, and to be able to have a personal life where you're not having to, like, a lot of people I find are really hard to let go of their clients because of the relationship they have with their clients. And I find it's because they're working so much, they don't have personal relationships. So they're not getting their social needs met anywhere else. And so it's that codependency on the business of like, it's meeting my social needs instead of the business is there to produce revenue, to produce impact. And then I can have enough personal time to do things that really fill me up as an individual. So my business doesn't have to meet those emotional needs.
Yeah. It's so true. So true.
All right. So let's just do this as one final kind of hurrah. if Victoria of 2021
Mhm.
came up to you and said, I'm really struggling and I'm thinking about this mastermind, what guidance and questions and kind of bullet points would you give her to think through that decision on if it was the right thing to do or not? Because she doesn't know, what's possible for her. She sees you're doing really well, but what
Yeah.
would you tell Victoria of 2021?
I would say return on investment, because
I love it.
you're putting in the time, you're putting in the work and the cost on it, but it's not just that, for that short 6 months, this is something that is going to stay with you forever. So yes, you're taking the time, you're doing these meetings, and I don't say it like it's a chore, because I love the meetings. I get stoked for them. I'm like, yes, we got a meeting, and you are investing not only in you, you are investing in your business. You're investing in where you're going to be from 6 months to a year from now. And it's exciting because I think back to when we did our retreat, this last one, like people were like, wait, you only had one team member like a year ago? Like what? And it's like, yeah, look at this growth. Everybody, it's achievable for everyone. And I mean, I would ask Victoria, like, what are you struggling on? Where are you at? What are you wanting out of this? And just sharing my personal journey with what I've gotten out of it.
Yeah. And just fight like hell for your dreams.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
And don't be unstoppable. And I think that's the thing that people kind of talk themselves out of, because it's not a cheap investment. And there's reason for that, because we have a high level support. This is not a course. This is a done with you experience. It is the community and the support that we don't have in this industry whatsoever. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
The connection you get with other people that are pursuing and chasing that dream, for you to have evidence that it's possible, that here's what it looks like when you're working, our season 1, we had somebody who was doing almost $2 million, right? And you're in the same group with them and they're asking questions and they're having struggles too. And then they get to advise you on what they did in certain situations. Like all of that happens too. And so it's a really beautiful connection community for you not to feel alone, for you to get structure in place. It's not easy to run a business. Don't be fooled. It never gets easier, no matter what level, or it never gets simple. I don't know how to phrase that. It does
New
get
level, new devil.
Yeah, right. You get used to the ups and downs.
Mhm.
And when the more evidence you have of it's worth it to go through the struggle, because on the other side, here's what's waiting for you, and you have other people that are on the other side of that challenge, that's where it really helps you to continue to move forward and not get stuck and paralyzed in overthinking and anxiety and the pain that you're currently experiencing. You can have that support system to help you move through that and get to the other side.
100%. And one thing I'll say too, kind of touch base on what you just said. I the first time going through it, I thought like, there's nothing that I could give to these people, the one who was doing like 2 million, like there's nothing I could say that would impact. But the thing is everything that everybody has going on is so helpful to everyone else. So even if you view yourself as like, oh, well, I'm not at their level, it doesn't matter. You still have stuff that is of value that you can share. There's different situations that each person goes through. I mean, like on some of my bad situations that I've had happen, like I am so open on sharing it, because like I want everybody to learn from it. That way, if you guys have going on, or they have something that's like similar to it, they'll know how to mentally handle it, take a step back. So whatever you've got going on, share with the group. We are just seriously the support system that wants to see you grow.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So with that being said, mastermind applications for season 3 close on December 9th. You can go to thelashpreneur.com/mastermind application to kind of put your name in the hat. We only have a few limited spots. Most of our season 2 members are renewing, and so we don't have as many spots available. So it's very, very select, and decisions will be made by December 20th on who will be moving forward with us in season 3. Come join us and Coach Victoria. Even if you're on the fence, if you're not sure, get on, just apply, because we're going to get you clarity on whether it's a right fit for you. I have zero interest in taking people's money. That is not what this program is. I would rather not have people in there that aren't the right fit. I would keep the program much smaller if they're not the right fit to get this group the maximum results and transformation that we know it can get. So we're very, very picky. So if you want to apply, go to thelashpreneur.com/mastermind application. We'll link it up in the show notes. And Victoria, You're going to keep on keeping on. You're going to be at all the retreats. You and I are going to do the VIP day. I'm going to come coach her team next
I'm so
year.
excited. I know, I can't wait for that.
Yes. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.